Hello everyone, in today's episode, the 1 year life transformation challenge, we're going to talk about the art of the Zen mind through a frog and a caterpillar. Stick with me, it's not as crazy as it sounds. Hello everyone, as promised in the intro, we're going to talk about the Zen mind, and we're going to talk about caterpillars and frogs, because of course that all goes together. As always, I want to begin with a quote from my homeboy, your homeboy, the great bard, the guy who obviously was in touch with true human essence, that bloke, William Shakespeare. And what Bill said was, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinketh make it so. I don't think there's a more powerful statement, especially in the English language, that defines life. Like, this bloke has just nailed it, and yes, he was known for extravagantly long prose and plays and scripts, but ultimately, in this one sentence, good old Bill just nailed it. Nothing is either good nor bad, but thinketh make it so. And we all know that you can go from hating someone in your life to loving someone in your life, just with a change of perspective. Maybe a teacher, we've all done this with a teacher. You had a teacher that busted your balls and you're like, I want to strangle this teacher. And 5 years later, when you realise the lessons that you've learned and how good they've made you, you love them. So what's right? Is the hate or the love right? Well, thinketh make it so. So ultimately, there is no good nor bad. And you can really understand the universe's perspective when you can understand that single quote. So you'll hear me say, ad nauseum, there is no problem outside of thought. And I know this, like I don't believe this, because believe is when you're taught something. I know this. Now, it's come from inside or outside the collective consciousness, and I know there is no problem outside of thought. And I didn't always know this, well, I always knew this, but I didn't always think and believe this. And one of the problems I had was, I thought that if I had a problem, I could think my way out of it. I go, I'm a smart bloke, I've got a post-grad degree, I can think my way out of this problem. What's the situation? Having challenges in this relationship? Think your way out of it, Brad. What can we do? What's the plan? This issue? Think. I just lived in a world of problems. I was in problem-solving mode, or actually what I didn't realise was in problem creation mode, over and over and over again. And I feel like, and I was talking to my mate yesterday, Budgie, and I said to him, I think the reason I hated maths is that maths creates problems where there are no problems. You're sitting in a classroom, everything's kosher, you're hanging with your mates, you're writing on the tables, you're doing some graffiti, it's all great, and then all of a sudden the teacher goes, what's 8 times 8? And you go, well, now I've got a problem. I didn't have a problem before, now there's a problem. That's just a silly example. However, a better example is something that Oso, the great Indian mystic, taught me, and I was listening to him speak, and he was talking about obviously while he was alive, and he talked this amazing story, and the story goes like this, that one day there was this caterpillar, and it lived by this beautiful pond, and it was going by its day-to-day business, and it was cruising around the beautiful vines and the large leaves, and just being part of nature, being a caterpillar, eating the leaves and being part of the ecosystem. And one day, as it crawled down a small branch, it encountered a frog sitting by the pond. And the caterpillar had never seen a frog before, and the frog had never seen a caterpillar. And being part of the same ecosystem, they obviously gelled, and they knew that they were a threat to each other, so they just observed each other. The caterpillar continued to move on, looking at the interesting object, the other life force in front of him. The frog was looking at the caterpillar, and the frog immediately started thinking. And the frog thought to itself, I've got 2 arms and 2 legs, but this caterpillar has like 100 legs. And then the frog kept thinking, going, if I can, when I'm running, it's hard enough to get my front legs in front of my back legs, yet this bloke, he's got 100 legs. How does he do it? Oh my God, this is crazy. So to deal with this thought that was running through his mind, the frog goes, listen, Mr. Caterpillar. The caterpillar looks over and goes, hey, Mr. Frog, what's happening? And he goes, Mr. Caterpillar. The frog says, Mr. Caterpillar, how do you walk? And the caterpillar goes, what do you mean, how do I walk? I just walk. I walk. I don't know how I walk. He goes, yeah, I know you're walking, I can see you walking, but look at all those little legs. I go, you've got hundreds of legs, and if one of those legs just misfired, you'd fall flat on your face. And the caterpillar goes, nah, mate, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, maybe, but I don't. And then the caterpillar just thought, I don't want to deal with this. The caterpillar began to leave the situation and fell flat on its face. Because now it began thinking about how all those legs worked, and it started thinking about how it does put one in front of the other. It left the moment, went into the world of thought, and was unable to be who it was to be. And I love that story because overthinking doesn't help. It just doesn't help. And you know, one of the challenges about the ego or the thinking mind is it never takes responsibility for problems and takes credit for everything. And in fact, I have to tell you this, JFK, top 5, you would have seen in one of my videos, said, defeat is an orphan, but victory has 1,000 fathers. That's what your brain does. It claims all your victory is gone. We thought that through, we're great. Or that fell over because you didn't think it through. We need to ignore those thoughts. Be present. Do what you were built to do, and you'll never have any problems. Another illustration of this is one I've talked about quite often, and since we are talking about the Zen mind, in Zen monasteries, which are, you know, tough places to live. You know, you only sleep 4 hours a night. You meditate for 6 to 8 hours. You don't eat much. You work your butt off. So when people go to a Zen monastery to become a Zen monk, they're not doing it because, you know, things are going well. They don't sit there going, you know, things are going really well in my life. I think what I might do is just cut down my sleep, meditate more, and eat less and work harder. So when people do go to a Zen monastery, they obviously have an issue they'd like to resolve, and they found the material world doesn't solve it. So what happens is, and I'll really cut this down to the condensed version, obviously there's more to Zen than this, but the student will become a Zen monk if he's accepted, and he'll sit with the Zen master for a kohan once a day. A bell will ring, they'll sit with the Zen master, and the Zen master will ask them a question in which they are expected to be able to answer. Now these kohans are in different levels of orders of difficulty, but they are the famous koans of what's the sound of one hand clapping, if a tree falls in the woods and no one was there to see it or hear it, did it really fall? Now these koans are consistently asked of the student, and the student will try and answer them, and the student will fail. Day after day after day. And I can only imagine this process. Could you imagine being somewhere with a bloke who's asking you a question for 5 years and you can't answer it? And he just says, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. It must be tough. However, something interesting happens to the mind during that time in the Zen monastery. As they meditate, become in touch with their true self, they realize the question they're being asked is the problem. And if they don't accept the question and just live and don't try and answer the question, that is the answer. That is the answer, because there is no answer. You are just making up an answer in your head. Therefore, if you don't make it up, you automatically win. So ultimately, the time comes where the student is sitting in front of the master, and the master says, you know, does a dog have Buddha nature? And the student has a moment of satori. And they go, don't worry about that question. The question that sent me here, which is, why is the world so painful, or why did my wife leave me? The fact that I've been trying to answer that question is the problem. It's the thought. So I've been sitting here ruminating, can't get my job done, depressed because I'm thinking, I created the problem. So you can start to see how a Zen mind eliminates problems and allows you to live your true life. Now on a phenomenal level, it doesn't mean things won't go wrong. However, your ability to deal, and we know that's going to happen, but your ability to deal with them becomes so much greater. So how do you cultivate a Zen mind? Step 1, meditate. Meditation takes you closer to your true self than any other vehicle I know, apart from probably psychedelics. However, meditation is free and there's no side effects. And in fact, side effects are what makes it feel great. Meditate. If you're not meditating, I want to shake your hand because I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you get up in the morning with all the stimuluses, the sounds, the noises, the stresses, and get through your day. You are a better person than me. Meditation for me just makes life effortless. Number 2, practice mindfulness. Become a master of being present, and it's a skill. I tell you, when I first started mindfulness, I had to think and think about it. Now I need to take myself out of mindfulness because I'm engrossed in it, because it's a skill that you build. And mindfulness is life, paying attention. Have you ever been in a conversation and someone's like, yeah, okay, wow. And you're like, you feel so good because they're paying attention to you. Make the universe feel good and pay attention to it, because remember, it's just a mirror and you'll reflect that back into your life. Number 3, know the problem is the solution, and the solution is the problem. Like, I know that sounds silly, and I remember watching a Simpsons episode where Lisa said to Homer, you know, the Chinese symbol for crisis and opportunity can be interchanged, so sometimes a crisis and opportunity, and Homer goes, yeah, crisis-opportunity. I thought that was quite funny, but know that the problem is the solution. Thinking won't help you. And the thinking that got you into the problem is definitely not going to think you out of the problem. And even if it does, you're at the net status quo anyway. You've really just done nothing. You've created a problem to solve it. Congratulations. You know, you've got nowhere. You've rowed a boat without oars. And number 4, take action on what you can control and leave fate to what you can't. There are things that you can control and you should take action on. And then there are things you can't control. And knowing the difference is at the heart of a contented life. Worrying about things or thinking about things has served no one ever. In fact, have you ever interrupted someone deep in thought about a situation and they've snapped at you, you go, oh, what do you want? And you're like, they created that problem for themselves. You wanted to say what's up and buy them a coffee, but they snapped at you. Is that what we want to do? Is we want to be lost in these ridiculous movies which we manufacture, which are nice? I've had nice dreams and nice daydreams, but they're never as cool as reality. They're never as deep, meaningful, as impactful as reality. Come back to reality. Live here. So remember these steps. 1, meditate. 2, practice mindfulness. 3, know that the problem and the solution are interchangeable, just thoughts. And 4, take action on what you can control. If you're going to sit there and think about it and there's nothing you can do about it, do the action. Okay? The thought is stopping you from doing the action. We all know that some of the best stuff we've ever done has come from spontaneous action. That's a Zen concept. Spontaneous action is you thinking about it and coming up with a plan is not you. That's the thinking mind. Hope this all makes sense. The Zen mind is something that once you get, your life changes. I promise you. The Zen mind is something you carry with you every moment of your life and can improve you. Caterpillar and the frog, these great tools of nature, illustrated that to you. Thank Oso for the story. Until tomorrow, I can't wait to see you on our transformation journey. But until then, goodbye.